Alright, my super fam, today we have one of the biggest video of the starting month in this year, which is of course something I usually do on the channel, in which we're gonna be looking into some of the best team in Genshin Impact within the current meta, because over the past year of 2023 there have been so many new character release as well as team updates. Therefore, unlike last year, we're gonna be seeing quite a lot of new teams being present here within the video. And so I do hope that you are looking forward to this, as personally I think it is a very interesting video because team building is something that I really love, which is definitely special. And before we jump into the video guys, there's a new game that I can't wait to show you. Let's thank today's video sponsor, Tales and Dragons New Journey. It's a really fun idle RPG that anyone can enjoy if you were to ask me. The biggest thing that Tales and Dragons has going for it has got to be the character and the world surrounding the game, for the story take place in the Kingdom of Oz, with the arrival of an enigmatic witch and the draconic terror Shadow Tyrant gets awakened, the dragon that unleashes destruction like no others. However though, all hope isn't lost as it falls to the witch and the player character to stand against the Shadow Tyrants to battle and restore Kingdom of Oz, where you will be aided by a lot of familiar faces. These fairy tale character joins the party and you can quickly start your adventure with these reliable allies. The gameplay is the perfect balance of work and play, because while it's completely idle, you can also score a ton of rewards to upgrade your heroes who are based on your favorite fairy tale characters, and then build your team optimally with rewards you receive. So while you're waiting for, jump into this magic and fantastical world and download this game for free by clicking on the link in the description or scanning my QR code on your screen. As soon as you log in, get ready for a fantastic surprise of 1,001 free draws, and also use my promo code to redeem 500 diamonds and more worth around $30. It's first come first serve guys, so don't miss out on exploring Tales and Dragons New Journey today guys. And so before we actually dive into the teams guys, there's a few things that I just want you to quickly take note of. Is that yes, of course, these teams are considered to be some of the best team in Genshin currently. However, being the best doesn't mean that you have to invest a ton into this team, because the team I'm going to be mentioning here are basically very much affordable, usable at C0 for 5-star guys. And while yes, of course, 4 stars are usually recommended to be at C6, because while even if you are free to play, you can generally get them at C6. But if your 4-star character are still less than that, it is still totally fine and pretty much usable. Also guys, this is not a ranking videos, therefore the orders in which I discuss the teams does not mean a team is better than the ones being listed afterward. But all the team discussed here will be considered to be some of the best team there are in Genshin, because yes, each different team does have its application in different situations. And so with that in mind guys, let us hop into the best teams in Genshin Impact. For team number 1, we have Lini's Monopyro team featuring Bennett, Xiangling and Kazuha. Now first, when Hoyoverse introduced Lini, I did not expect him to be such a powerful character, and even more surprised at what he is able to do, especially when he's more of a charge attack character. His kit is definitely unique. So the reason why Lini is such a good character is due to his insane scaling in terms of his skills, allowing him to be one of the best nuke character in Genshin right now, because yes, it does a lot of damage guys, even at a C0 level. You don't even need to invest too much into Lini, no constellation, and even without his signature, he's already able to pull off a ton of damage with minimal investment. And that's not to mention if we want to touch on his constellation guys, because at C1 it significantly enhances his skills, basically doubling its damage due to you having 2 Malkin hats on the field, taking out your enemies insanely fast. which is why C1 Lini is considered to be some of the best C1 constellation we have in the game. Very valuable, and we don't even have to mention, you know, C2 and C3, because if you are able to invest up to that constellations, you're basically clearing out the abyss in around 30 seconds at max. So definitely Lini's team build is pretty interesting because he's more focused into building a mono pyro comp in order to make use of his passive talent. Though he's mainly gonna be a single target character, however his skills does have access to a bit of AoE. Therefore, whenever you're in group situation, if you're really good at grouping enemies, Lini will still be able to take out many of them in one go with his skill, which is where Kazuha as a character comes in for Lini. However, after patch 4.2 arrived with the introductions of Furina, she's definitely also a perfect character on Lini's team, not just because of how good of a support buffing she has access, but also giving Lini Vaporize accessibility and also dealing with a situation where in the past Lini with Kazuha could not have done, which is going up against Pyro Shield character. Therefore, with all that Lini have access to within his kit, it's the reason why Lini's team has a position on some of the best team we have right now. Moving on to team 2. Yes, we have Alhaitham Hyperbloom team regarding Alhaitham, Nahida, Furina and Kuki Shinobu. Well, even before Furina actually arrived, Alhaitham Hyperbloom is still some of the best team we have in the game. We already know Hyperbloom itself is already powerful, but having access to so many good characters like Alhaitham, Nahida on the team, you're just able to pull it off a lot better. And yes, with the introductions of Furina, here are some of the best support characters we have. Your team's personal damage has also increased significantly as well, and together with Kuki Shinobu on the team to help you out with triggering bloom cores, it's just a very good and easy team for you to run. Another variations of a very good Hyperbloom team would be Raiden's Hyperbloom, where you have Nahida, Furina and Baiju here on the team. Since Raiden herself is a very good character in terms of triggering Hyperbloom already, we can have Baiju here as a whole team-wide healer for you to make sure that Furina has her maximum buff for her E skills. Plus, we do still have Dendro Resonance on the team, which is really good. Now, I do know that these characters can be pretty much functional at C0. However, it is a little bit expensive because here we do have 4 5-star characters here, so you still have to invest a little bit in. However, in terms of future proofing, I can see that this team will be going on for a long time because we can't see Hyperbloom reactions going bad in any way. Team number 3, we have Child International. Well, yes, this team is basically still some of the best team every single year. This team with International is still being used basically in every single biz and still doing perfectly fine. Might lost a little bit of value due to some of these abyss, but overall you can consider this team will work in any situation that you can find, with Child being the hydro applicator for you to have Xiangling doing constant vaporize, and Kazuha here to buff an insane numbers for you, along that with Bennett. This team will still be a very powerful team in the future to come. Now, we all know that this team is very good, however the mastery ceiling for this team is also very high because this is just one of the toughest team in Genshin for you to master as well, especially if you have a Child at C0, because in order for you to comfortably have a good rotation for this team, you do have to practice quite a bit. C1 is going to make it quite a bit easier, but generally you don't need to waste too much Primogems in trying to get Child C1 and save that for other character you want to pull, and practicing at a C0 Child level is more than good enough for you. So yes, if you have Child on your account and you haven't been using it for a while, try using Child International again and you'll see how good of a team this still is. Fourth team, we have Nilou Bloom. Yes, basically still one of the best team out there and the best Bloom team we have to date. Nilou Bloom team's ranking has not decreased ever since she was released, because this team does so high numbers while having access to insane AoE that Venti himself feels like a relic when it comes to AoE grouping. Because yes, Venti in terms of grouping can only group small and light enemies, while Nilou Bloom team, while don't have access to grouping, it does such wide AoE that you technically don't even need grouping at all, for it just basically hits every enemies on field. But furthermore, the reason why it deserves to have the spot on some of the best team is because of the ease of gameplay. Nilou Bloom team is the easiest gameplay team that you can have access to at this point in time. It is easier than AFK team because Nilou Bloom team does a lot higher damage as well. You don't need any specific rotation for this. You just set up Nilou E skill and that's basically it. You can cast anything on the other 3 character and the Bloom course damage will just do the work for you. Basically it. Not to mention this team has so many high HP character, you know, like Nilou herself, that there's absolutely no way any enemies will one-shot Nilou. So if you happen to know that there's going to be a large hit coming at you, you just switch to Nilou and she will tank the hit every single time. So yes, Nilou Bloom team is still one of my most favorite team out there. Really fun to play, even though yes, it's kind of, you know, brain dead. However, I always love to play it because it's really fun to look at. The 5th team we have is yes going to be Neuvillette team. Now of course yes, Neuvillette definitely deserves to have a slot on the best teams currently because of how powerful of a character he is. Single target scenario, AoE scenario, anything you name it, Neuvillette teams can deal with it all. With such high personal damage and so good AoE, it feels really good when you have access to Neuvillette. Now he does have a few teams option that you can go around with, especially if you have him at C0. Generally at C0 we'll want to have, you know, Zhongli on his team so that we can provide shield for him to stop him from getting knocked back, since it is going to be a huge DPS loss if Neuvillette gets interrupted during his charge E skill. But definitely that doesn't stop him from having some of the best team, because yes, we run alongside with Kazuya and Furina, both the best buffer we have in the game right now. Though you can see that we're not going to be having a healer specifically on this team. However, due to the fact that Neuvillette can self-sustain himself, usually people will just focus on Neuvillette doing hyper carry and try to take your enemies out as fast as possible before you even need too much of a healing for Neuvillette himself. However, if you do have a C1 Neuvillette, we can change up the team a little bit. For using Electro Charge Neuvillette here is also a good option of having Fischl in place of Zhongli. Now you can also play this team while at C0, for if you know that you can keep a distance between your enemies, you won't get interrupted, then that is totally fine. Definitely Neuvillette is quite versatile in terms of which character you put onto his team, but these current 2 options are some of the best team that you want to run him, especially if you are at a C0 Neuvillette. Now that's another best team that I want to mention. However, before we get to the final best team that we have, I want to discuss some honorable mention that we currently have. These teams are really good teams as well, which is why they had their spot on the honorable mention place. First is going to be Hu Tao, running alongside with Furina, Yelan and Jin. I have already discussed so many Hu Tao teams on the channel because yes, Hu Tao have got a lot of buff ever since she was released, and yes, after Furina was here, Hu Tao teams has just been significantly better as well. You can have Jin on Hu Tao's team if you want to maximize Furina buffing time. However, Bennett is also a very good character if you want to focus everything towards Hu Tao personal damage, and those 2 characters are generally fine depending on which character you have more access to and that you have already built. Next is going to be Xiao and Wanderer's hyper carry team. Xiao is still a very good character, guys, especially when Farazan was released, because Xiao Farazan hyper carry has been changed dramatically, making Xiao to be a lot of a better character ever since. So Xiao running alongside with Furina and Bennett and of course Farazan. Technically you would love to have a C6 Farazan, however without that he still do pretty much fine. Still very good in both single target and AoE situation, guys. And of course, Wanderer is a character that can be placed onto the exact team and will also perform exceptionally well. However, unlike Xiao, Wanderer lacks a little bit towards the AoE side, so whenever you're using him in AoE situation, you kind of want to swap Furina into Venti towards grouping, because Wanderer's attack still have a little bit of AoE to it, so if enemies are quite close to each other, they all get damage as well. So Venti is a perfect character when you're using him in AoE situations. And then next would be our lovely Navia's team. Yes, we all know how powerful Navia as a character is, and literally is the best Geo character at this point in time. Navia is also one of those nuke characters similar to Lini that has very powerful E skills, and she has access to 2 of them as well. So yes, if you already have Navia, you can see that usually after 2 of her E skills, most of your enemies are already dead, especially when you're running in such a powerful team alongside with Zhongli, Bennett and Xiangling. You're able to see your Navia doing very good numbers of damage. And so those are some of the honorable mentions I want to touch on, guys. Now, the last team that I want to talk about in terms of the best team we have in Genshin, and that goes to Sucrose National. Yes, this is the team that I still consider to be the best and slightly above all of the options that we have considered as well, because well, not only is it such a powerful team, but guys, we're using a team comprised of 4-star character here. Absolutely no 5-star investment whatsoever. Very free to play. Yeah, if you have some pools and you want to invest into it, then wow, maybe you can get Bennett with his Mist-Splitter, or you know, Engulfing Lightning can be used on Xiangling. However, without them, this team works absolutely fantastically, because yes, just using these 4-star character, they will basically rival and sometimes do better than the teams we have discussed here in this video. However, the only thing with this team is that it is very hard to master. Rotation wise, I have not yet to master it, because there are just so many things you have to do and time it perfectly in order for this team to perform really well. Now, of course, I won't be discussing the exact rotation in this video because it does take quite a while. However, I will link you guys to a guide video of this YouTuber who have explained it exceptionally well in my description, and you guys can check it out right after this. But yes, ever since the start of the game, this team is still considered to be the best, and I believe that it will still be some of the best in the future. So guys, if you don't have the Primo Gems to be pulling for the 5-star we have discussed here in this video, well, you don't really have to be sad, because all free-to-play players have access to the best team in Genshin Impact. While yeah, you might want to try and go and pull for the 4-star character here and there to try and get their constellations, because these 4-star characters do require you to have constellations to unlock their fullest potential, but it's just so much cheaper than you trying to get all of the 5-star we have discussed here. So guys, those should be the list of my personal best Genshin Impact team we have to date. I hope that was a very helpful and informative video for you. I know that there's so many good teams out there, so if you do have any other options, leave it down in the comment section, as I always love to discuss it there. If you're new to the channel, guys, don't forget to subscribe, as I post a lot of nice guides video as well as fun Genshin content for you to enjoy. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, guys, and with that, I wish you a super day, and I will catch you on my next video.